The way that fear shows up in most people's lives is in the form of anxiety, where it's no longer fear of a specific thing, it's just fear of the world. So that original fear that's meant to result in a cry for help now becomes chronic anxiety. So fear not dealt with gets ingrained as anxiety. It's no longer about anything specific. It's just being in the world is a source of fear.
What should result in a cry for help externally becomes a perpetual cry internally.
Especially with certain types of thought, like so-called worry, you can see very clearly that it happens to you. So the mind goes and you cannot stop it. You wake up at 3 in the morning and you start thinking fearful thoughts, possible bad outcomes, and it goes on, and you're trapped. Thought arises in you. So the beginning of spiritual awakening is to see a thought arise, to see a thought and not be completely identified with it, to recognize thought as thought.
The more you catch yourself going unconscious and becoming conscious, the more conscious you become in your life. And all of a sudden, you begin to pay attention to things that you weren't paying attention to before. In the work that we do, we say that being in the present moment, truly in the present moment, is being comfortable in the unknown. Right? The present moment is the unknown because there is the familiar past that we feel emotionally and we have the predictable future, which are both the knowns. Being in the present moment is being the unknown, and that goes against thousands of years of programming because our biology is programmed that if we are truly in the unknown, we should be in survival. Because if you're in survival and you're in the fight or flight system, the unknown is a threat, it's a danger. So always try to predict the future based on the past and you'll have better chances of survival. Predict the worst case scenario, be ready for that. Anything less that happens, you have better chance of surviving. Then to rest in the unknown goes against a lot of our biology.
The aim is to be present while you meditate, not to seek some future condition. This is a fundamental mistake that meditators make, is they imagine a future condition that they want to arrive at or achieve, and they think, if I just practice more and harder, I will eventually achieve that awakened state. And that belief is actually a hindrance. So, because then you are doing a meditation. And if you're doing a meditation, you miss the one thing that is the awakened state, and we could call that being, the realization of being.
The body is freed from those habituations and those emotions. The body's going from particle to wave, from matter to energy, and all of a sudden you're dialing down the anger. You're dialing down the vigilance, and the body now is being conditioned to a new mind. That is the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, something really amazing happens. You forget about you. All of a sudden, you're not your face, you're not your culture, you're not your marital status, you're not your diet, you're not your past. You're basically just an awareness. You're in the unknown, and that is the perfect place to create from. So it turns out that when people do this properly, they heal themselves of anxiety. Why? Because they're no longer obsessing about some future. When they find the present moment, they heal from their depression because they're not a bit hopeless and powerless in their past. The body's conditioned now.
victims, what are their behaviors? They complain, they make excuses, they judge other people, they feel sorry for themselves, they need a lot of attention. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. But that could be a behavior that goes along with a person who suffers and feels unhappy most of the time. And what are the thoughts that you think? All right, so you could be really, really ambitious and say, I'm gonna just stop today. And the first couple hours goes by really well. But as you see the same people and you go to the same places and do the exact same thing at the exact same time in your life, it's no longer that your personality is creating your personal reality. Your personal reality is reminding you of who you are as a personality. The environment is regulating and controlling the way you think. So every person, every object, everything, every place has a neurological network in your brain. You have a neurological network for your mother. You have a neurological network for your enemy. You have a neurological network for your coworker because you've experienced them. If you want to become happy, you got to stop being unhappy. So you got to become so conscious of your unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that you don't default when you return back into your life and return back to the same personality. Because that same personality is connected to the same personal reality that the person's living with. So they have to be able to think, act, and feel differently in the same environment. And that's when you master your life. So if a person is stuck in their life, the first step to change is examining your thoughts, paying attention to how you speak and how you act, and look at these emotions that keep you connected to the past and finally decide, does this emotion belong in my future?
You must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption. You don't need evidence of your senses. You have a tendency to believe that what your eyes and ears tell you is reality. But this is what we know by our senses. You know, it's like a millionth of a millimeter, and all that is unknown is in the invisible, in the imagination. You'll see it when you believe it, not the other way around. People will say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. It doesn't work that way. You'll see it when inside you have a knowing. And most of our attention is focused on, this is my beliefs and my disbeliefs about what is possible and what isn't possible are here. And it's an endless universe.
It turns out that you have to feel the emotion of the future before it happens, because the emotion is the energy that's going to drive your body to that end, to have the experience. And at the same time, if you're truly practicing feeling the emotion of your future, you won't be in lack. In fact, you'll feel, if you feel like your future has already happened, you'll never look for it. You only look for it when you feel separate from it. The new model of reality is causing an effect. The moment you feel gratitude, your healing begins. The moment you're empowered and you're worthy, you're stepping or generating abundance, you're stepping towards your success. Now, the moment you're in love with yourself and in love with life and you see beauty in all things, it's natural that you'll attract an equal. So that's causing an effect, right? And so all you need is a clear intention and an elevated emotion. But I think what people are really looking for is connection and joy. Like, people should be in a relationship. The reason they should be in a relationship is to be overjoyed to be with the person that you're with, right? You want joy in your life. For me, it would make sense then if the person got very clear on what they wanted, then they should start on the journey to become that very person. They should really work on being that very person that they want. So there would have to be some change that they would have to make in order to be worthy enough to create a person that they would attract in their life. And we cannot attract anything in our life that we feel separate from. Trusting in a future that you can't see or experience, you have to lay down the very thing you use your whole life to get what you want, to trust that something greater could happen.
We've got life dysmorphia. You get used to how great your life is. No one had a hot shower until 50 years ago. So I try and do this thing when you stand in a hot shower. George Mack, my friend, pointed this out to me. Went, well, look, when you stand in a hot shower, just for a moment, just go, well, no one that you admire from 100 years ago had this simple pleasure in life. And when you look at the world that we live in, we're like, there's been 100 billion people ever, right? We are in the top percentile. in terms of the luck that we have had. But the lives, like the calorific intake that we just take for granted, the fact that our children don't die, in the first year, the modern medicine and our lives and the entertainment that we get, we're living like kings. And yet, life has never been objectively better and subjectively worse, because the nature of humanity is our desires are mimetic. So we've got this thing where we sort of, how happy are you? Well, it's your quality of life minus envy. That's how happy you are. And it's easy to look at everyone else and how they're doing and not take pleasure in what you have.
You need to keep going. You need to do something in order to make use of the lifetime that has been given to you. But along this way, things are going to change. There will come the period you do, and then you realize all the doing actually brought nothing. So maybe you will return back to, it's about the non-doing. And then you do nothing again. But then at the same time you realize, yeah, but with all the non-doing, I know I could do actually much more. Then you start doing again. And along this way, you're going to figure out the middle way for you to live. It's both of them. It's not about being active all the time, and it's also not about being passive all the time. It's about being present in all of these times.
I want you to write this down. Write this down. I am so happy and grateful. Write it down. I am so happy and grateful that I am God's highest form of creation. There never has been and there never will be another person created that will equal me. I love my life. I'm in control of my life because I'm in control of me. I know that whatever happens outside of me has no bearing on who I am. Read that 100 times a day. Write it 100 times a day until you start to understand that what's going on outside got nothing to do with who you are. Nothing to do with who you are.